Hello, everyone. My name's Emil. I'm with Reset Consulting, and today we're going to be going over a very simplified dashboard using NetSuite records and reports, as well as fields, to create a manufacturing capacity dashboard in Claude, which is going to help us understand overall capacity or really planned capacity on a weekly basis across the work centers that we've configured to calculate this. So I'll start in Claude and then I'll back into some of the fields and records that we've used inside of NetSuite. So first of all, I've made the connection between Claude and a NetSuite demo account. The first prompt that I've given Claude is the need to understand capacity across all my manufacturing work centers. I then gave it some directions as far as how to identify what a manufacturing work center is. So I said group with the manufacturing work center checkbox checked. And for the capacity, again, this is a very simplified format. I've given each work center a static integer to define capacity. And I said, use the field ID, and then this is the field ID to determine each work center's capacity. And so I'm being very direct when talking with Claude and giving it a specific direction and variables to use to create this dashboard. So again, this is why I say that this is a simplified format. This number isn't derived from any transaction or really any other records. I'm simply giving it this total number of capacity, which is on a weekly basis for this example. It then went through a number of different queries, so we won't have to go through that. And then it essentially gives me a summary, right? So it's saying only four of my work centers have weekly capacity defined, which is fine for this example. It gives me some metrics, which is helpful. I then asked it to create a visualization dashboard of this report, which it then did in about a minute. So on the right here is my manufacturing capacity dashboard. It's telling me I have 27 total work centers. There's 23 that have missing capacity data, and that's where this critical flag comes in. And I only have four work centers that have capacity defined. And again, this is in this example only for this demo. I then calculate overall utilization, which may be helpful. And then down here is where it gets interesting. So these four SFO work centers in my NetSuite demo accounts is where I have defined my capacity. And so it's telling me right off the bat that my SFO blending FNB is at 83.33% capacity. So let me go into NetSuite and show you some of the configuration. I've created this saved search, which is a just a criteria behind the visualization in Claude. Claude came up with this result on its own, right? Kind of separately from this saved search, which is really interesting given the criteria I've given it. And so if we look at this fourth one here, so SFO blending and FNB, which is this one right here. If we drill into it, we'll see where this planned capacity is coming from, right? So right now there's only one result here in this very simple example, and it's telling me it's deriving the data from this work order here. So the planned setup time plus the planned runtime equals the total planned time in hours. And so if I go into my work order here, and we'll just validate this. So this is just an example of a work order. I can go into my plan time subtab here, which is derived from my routing operations. And if I summarize these three here, that is where that 12.5 is coming from. So in my safe search, I'm summarizing per work center. And that is where my number of 12.5 is coming from. So if I go back to here now, I can see that The rest of my capacity, and these two here are using an interesting black line against a black background, which isn't too helpful. But you can still see, right? This one here is nearing capacity in this example. This one here has more capacity. These two do as well. And so we can look to schedule more work orders within that given week since we see that we have capacity, again, in this very simple example. The rest of my portlets aren't as helpful. It's basically just telling me that I haven't set up capacity across these work centers. And so in real life, I would go in and set my capacity here to calculate. And then it's suggesting some action items, right? So defining capacity, monitoring the work center that we've just gone over, right? So it's telling me I'm currently at 83.33 utilization, which we've already determined. There's only 2.5 hours left. Consider scheduling adjustments or capacity expansion. Work center configuration, alerts, implementing regular review. So it's giving me real world suggestions as to what actions I might take given the data that we're seeing here.